that the God of my grandfather, my grandmother, and my parents was maybe not necessarily my God. And the traditions of the church that I knew may not be the traditions that I wanted to keep. And so I chunked it all out the window. Did a little deconstruction, theological deconstructing, and ultimately landed where I am now, but I am not where I was yesterday. It keeps changing. It keeps evolving. And I'm saying this to lay out kind of the context for much of what I want to say to you today. Let me first of all talk about what I mean when I say the black church. The black church is, people say that and they use that as if it is a thing we know what it is. Right? You say, oh yeah, remember the black church. There are hundreds of black churches. Hundreds of denominations. So when you say the black church, that doesn't necessarily tell me, are you a Methodist black church member, or are you a Baptist black church member, or are you a Pentecostal black church member, are you Presbyterian black church member? And then of course, once you say that, then I need to know, you say you're Methodist, thank you very much, you're a Methodist black church member, are you AME, Zion, CME, or Free Church, right? Right, okay. Or if you tell me you're Pentecostal, then okay, wow, you Church of God in Christ, you Apostolic, or you Church of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? Well, you would want to get that straight, or crooked, depending on how you roll. So what I mean by the black church, I am talking about what scholars talk about as the 7 historic denominations, black church denominations, which are the Methodist traditions of AME, Zion, and CME. Also, the Baptist traditions, there are about 3 or 4 of them, all right? And then there's several Pentecostal denominations that make up these historic black denominations. But I am also talking about the large number of African Americans that are members of largely white denominations within the church. Roman Catholics, there is a huge number of black Roman Catholics, right? Since I'm on the Catholic campus, I did get that in there one time. There are a number of black Presbyterians. In each of these traditions, there are a number of black Free Church or Congregationalists. United Church of Christ is a member of what would have been the Congregationalist tradition. So when I say black church, I'm talking about all of the above. You with me? I'm speaking of both the historic churches, and let me just say by the way, anybody know how black churches started? Yeah.
During slave times, they were kind of a place to practice their own religion away from their white masters.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, there is a tradition around which slaves went off into the brush harbors and the camp meetings and went out in the bush. And the tradition that any of you seen Beloved, that moment where baby Suggs gets up on the stump and holds forth and has church. Well, that was the kind of church. Anybody else? Anybody else? There is a major event that when we talk about the black church, it distinguishes itself from any other moment. Anybody know? Late 1780s, a guy by the name of Richard Allen, another guy by the name of Absalom Jones. They were praying in St. George's Methodist Church in Philadelphia. Any AMEs in the house at all? Any Methodists? You all know this story. If you're an AME, you know this story. And because they wanted to pray, kneel at the altar. Methodists do that. You know, they get down at the altar and they pray, give communion. And they were kicked out. They were literally physically escorted out, lifted up and escorted out because it wasn't their turn. Well, you see, white people had to do it first before black people could pray and kneel at the altar. If you go back east in particular and see any balconies in any old congregations, that's where black people, poor people, and anybody that couldn't buy a bench or a pew, that's where they stood for worship. You all with me? So I want to set the context for the black church as in the tradition of protest. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. Now, I want to talk also, this still ain't working, bro?
No, it's not.
That's all right. Then if you just hand me the laptop, we're going to go with the flow. That's cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me, I'm going to need to plug this up in a minute because my battery is going down quickly. Let me also say a couple other words.